believe to her that a crime happened, but why would you think she's like a detective and she would just know who did it? Like, if they didn't say it's BLM or she doesn't recognize them as BLM, why would you just assume that she?
What I assume is that she was up to some bullshit, her with the Proud Boys, and that they were antagonizing people like they usually do. And then, as they would say, the FAFO, they went up against some people who might have been part of Black Lives Matter, and they stabbed her. That's what I took it as from listening to her speak on this app. She came on this app and talked about it. I mean, I don't need to pull shit. It's not me personally. I didn't get stabbed. I'm just talking about what the woman said. This is what Beverly Beatty said out of her own two lips.
Out of her own motherfucking mouth.
You can take it for what it is. You don't believe her, then fine. Fine. Let it. Believe what you want to believe. Anybody, all you.
We will. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, but there is no reason to believe her because she had no evidence of it herself. That's my problem.
But not if they were antagonizing.
The part I'm missing.
But what if they? But CO again, none of us know. Except the police said no. But what if they were antagonizing at that time? Remember, at that time, people were painting over Black Lives Matter murals. They were doing they were defacing George Floyd statues.
People could have been mad. That's my point. Any black people could have been mad. It doesn't mean
That's what I'm saying. It could be easily. I agree with you. She could.
Sure, like Tom Daschle, Patrick Leahy, I'm sure they were, really going on that one. So, I mean, what I find weird is that it comes from the ADL, who categorizes certain political violence and certain other entities who wanted to push for a narrative. Very similar to like Ray going to Congress and saying Catholics are the most dangerous religious group in America. Not that it wasn't fucking radicalized, jihadist ISIS members. Not any of those. No, it was Catholic people. And he said it with a bold face, and then it turns out to be a lie. Minnesota school shooter obviously took care of that one because they were anti-Catholic, anti-religion, and wanted to target religious people. That's kind of eye-opening to kind of throw in there. But somehow or another, the ADL calls him a right-wing shooter. And all of these attackers always seem to be labeled as right-wing shooters by the media or by someone like the ADL or the Southern Poverty Law Center or some other twat waffle group that has a political narrative to actually meet an agenda. And then you'll have all the libtards, the purple-haired septum nose pierce theorists out there who are overweight and are going to die by being eaten by 12 cats. These individuals scream to holy hell that it's always the conservative ones. But again, we can look at that. The bombing of and destruction, firebombing, Molotov cocktails, Tesla stations. Of course. The destruction. They count BLM as a solitary single event. David Dorn would probably have something better to say if he was still alive today at that protest, and various others. Chaz, it didn't exist. It was actually, I've heard people and ADL members and other politicians say Chaz or the Autonomous Zone, the Summer of Love, was actually a right-wing thing. So this is how weird.
How about Occupy Wall Street?
Yeah, right-wing, obviously, it's all like all these things, and it depends. Like, I wouldn't necessarily call them left wing, but if we're going to just divide them up between which side has it, then I'm all, all right, well, then we'll play that game, but we're going to play by my rules and other people's rules who actually apply critical thinking and critical thought to it and say, well, if all the religious people are on one side, and that's where the left categorize them, well, then any attack on a religious institute makes it left wing. So that means, the temple killer, that shooter, he must have been left wing. The Vietnamese man who did it in California must be left wing, because any attack on a religious entity based on the left's rules makes it a left wing person. And they just don't have any thought. And I think, again, it's just continuous grasping at straws for ridiculous points that they just never make. Again, they're rudderless, leaderless. They don't have money, and they're not going to win in the midterms, and they're not going to win the next presidency. And they're going to have trouble even maintaining some of the seats they have. So I don't know where they're going. It's just they're just nuts. And that's why they're losing more and more people on a daily basis. That's why Republicans are out registering them, out raising funding for them. Independents are gaining people, Republicans are gaining people, and Democrats are declining, like in negative, like going down.
Independents have been gaining people from both parties.
Yeah, well,
let's
hang
be very clear about that.
Dazzling, hang on. Okay, Brad, thank you.
No problem.
Again,
and I got that from the skiff when I got brought into the Situation Room 5 times.
Gotcha. Again, I don't have the numbers. I don't have the statistics. This is why if somebody has them from a reliable source, I want to see them. In my humble opinion, if you go back, it's probably pretty close to 50-50.
The Cato Institute is not.
Go ahead. Scott, are you in the Matrix?
Excuse me. No, sorry.
Okay.
Look, the when you look at this, is like been studied a lot, and I'll post. I'll give you one example.
No, just tell me, Scott. I'm just what you're citing.
The Cato Institute since 1975
sounds good to me.
shows that when you excluding 9/11, that instances of political violence is mostly from the right. 391 instances from the right, 143 from Islamism, 65 from the left, 8 from foreign nationalism, 4 from separatism, 9
Scott the
from
alcoholic
unknown
who lives
others.
at the
Are they categorizing
YMCA.
as political
I've been there,
violence?
done that stuff.
We'd have to look at the Cato Institute numbers, but these numbers match what I've read from every other university in every study. That it's pretty consistent. That it's not 50-50, but
And fair enough. And so, how many total instances do they document? How many total?
since 1975, we're looking at 466, 700 maybe.
700, and then how many are from the right?
391.
So that's about half.
65 from the left, 143 from Islamism.
But half of the instances that they document are from
391
right.
of about
700.
That's about six something 700. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna put the link.
Fair enough. No, that's fine. That's great. And again, that's what's reported, y'all. That's what makes the news. That's not a bunch of street thugs out in like New York or Los Angeles in the bad part of town beating the crap out of somebody because of their sexual orientation. That stuff isn't going to make Congress or whatever, but this is what's reported. And Scott cites a reliable source, and we can go with that for now. I have no problem with that.
And Cato Institute
is really reliable.
is a conservative institute too. This is not a left wing.
It's not a conservative. It's a libertarian. It's a libertarian one. If you don't know it, and on social issues, they lean much left. So they'll take social issues and shift.
Well, we can question the site, y'all. That's no problem. But if
But
all
I
of
mean,
you are,
but that's
if
the
a
whole
lot,
point.
hey, hold on. If a lot of you are questioning those numbers and those statistics, bring me another site that brings up different numbers, and we'll go with it.
The FBI. But again, like if you're going to quote the Cato,
Well, what are the numbers from the FBI, Brad?
on political violence? Hold on, I'd have to go back
Well,
and Google
tell you
it.
what.
It's
Tell you what.
actually
When
dense,
you
but that's
get
why
go ahead and go on mute. When you get it, break in at the right time. Let me know what the numbers are, and we'll move on. Jane, you're next.
Steve, this
Sorry,
is
I was next like two
Violet.
people ago.
Oh, wait, Violet. Go ahead, Violet. Go ahead, Violet.
The news coverage
Yeah,
that I've been
so.
coming across, my question is Charlie Kirk's killer considered to be politically motivated?
No question about it, in my humble opinion, without a doubt.
Okay,
Right, but Steve, that's the same question I asked earlier, and you said the FBI hasn't confirmed that.
I said in my opinion.
Okay,
They
fair enough.
did
But as far as we
confirm.
know, as far as
Hold on.
They
hold
just
on.
didn't confirm he was connected to any
Hold
radical
on,
leftist
everybody go on
groups. That
mute.
is it.
Everybody go on
I think
mute.
it's still up for a jury.
I
to
really,
determine.
stop. Everybody stop. The last thing in the world I want, and again, no disrespect to Gary, because he runs his room the way he runs his room, but I can be like Gary. I can move everybody in the audience and bring you up one at a time. I'm trying not to do that. It's very difficult to moderate a stage, especially like this, when we've got very passionate people on both sides, guys. So unless you want that to happen, just give me a little slack. Now, I gave my personal opinion on political violence. This is my personal opinion. You're all free to disagree. Anytime a person or a group commits a violent act where they're motivated by politics, that to me is political violence, and Charlie Kirk's assassination clearly qualifies. And that's just my opinion. I could very well be wrong. Jane, go.
I'm good, nasty.
All right, very good. Next up is Don. Hi, Don.
Dude, you said me like 3, 4 fucking
Oh,
people.
well, let's go to you then, Pascal. Go ahead.
Oh.
Pascal, then Don, then I've got Angelica, and that's okay. Go ahead, Pascal.
So I was just gonna I just wanted to reiterate one point that Brad kind of touched on it. So when it comes to group, the news often will tout like the SPLCs and ADLs numbers regarding hate crimes and where they stem from. It is absolutely bizarre. He's right. They include things like a bunch of events from January 6th, but they will. I think they'll just look at the BLM as one event. They'll include hate crimes as being like white supremacist prison gangs when they end up like shooting another white criminal over a drug deal dispute. You include that as a hate crime. It's just like really stupid shit. And so they've been ripped to pieces a bunch of times for that over the last couple of years. So I would just say, a lot of this, like 80% of the violence, I think it's bullshit. And I would say over the last few years, it seems to be more common to become, not more common numerically, but you've definitely seen an uptick in left-wing motivated political violence, I would say, than you did in the decades previously.
And before we move on, I just want to piggyback on what you're saying, Pascal. I love Reverend Scott to death. I trust Reverend Scott, and I'm sure what he's saying, the information he's giving us from his source is true. But in my humble opinion, and I'm just giving my opinion, to say that there's only been about 700 hate crimes in our country in the past 50 years, it seems to me like it's being underreported. But you know what? It's just my opinion. Angelica,
crime, Steve, or was it political? I thought it was
political
violence.
It is it's political violence. Thank you. Got it. But you see, in my mind, a hate crime does qualify as political violence because there's a political motivation.
It depends, Steve, on if there is a political motivation.
Yes, it depends. Exactly. It depends, which is why I think 750 years is underreported. But it's just my opinion. Angelica, hi.
Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Crazy.
Yeah, in these times, everyone's feeling crazy. But I just wanted to add that, like with identity politics, I feel like that's a culture that we haven't established as like a diverse nation, how to sort of cultivate a love for different people and different cultures. And I think
I know how to do it. It's easy. Bring everybody together, bring a shitload of marijuana, and have everybody get high and go kumbaya.
I doubt it's that easy. It has to be spiritual. Something spiritual has
well,
to
then bring the tequila also.
Hey, can we get a How to Be a Sanchez for Dummies book?
By the way, mods, after I finish up with Angelica, I'm going to take off, but I'll give you guys some instructions. Go ahead, Angelica.
But yeah, there's like this informal kind of aroma about like walking down the street and watching how different people interact. It's not like, really, it's not what the West says that it is. There's no inclusion. Like, people might say that it is a very inclusive nation, but people are still segregated on the base of, like, let's say, race. Race is common. Like, race is still...
People are segregated in America?
Of course, economically.
Can you give me one example?
Well, if you look at...
And this is kind of getting off topic, but I'll just go here.
But it ties back into identity politics and why people are...
Well, it's not my problem how somebody identifies with themselves. When you're talking about people are segregated, to me, what that means is going back to forced busing as recently as the 70s, where because of the color of your skin, you have to sit in the back of the bus. I'm not talking about identity politics.
It's an informal segregation where it's not, meaning it's not institutionalized. It's not like something that's written within the law, but it's practiced through
Well, in fact, it's against the law.
Of course,
You're
but
not allowed to
because
segregate based on color or race or religion. That's against the law. It's against your civil
yeah,
rights.
but it's done
Angelica,
informally because-
everybody self-segregates. Churches are the best
go on mute.
example.
Pascal, go on mute, please.
Stop.
Yeah.
Shut up,
Go
Mayor.
ahead, Angelica. No.
Like, if we can't-
Hold on. Whoa.
Whoa,
I
buddy!
thought everybody knew this about
Holy
me,
shit,
but obviously it bears
Pascal!
repeating.
Oh my
Housekeeping
God,
issue.
Pascal!
I do not allow the N-word in my room, no matter what. And I don't care what color your skin is, what your race or religion. That word is outlawed. Go ahead, Angelica.
Thank you, Steve, for that.
Welcome.
So if we can't see it as a problem, and part of why there's violence that is happening today, like with that the Ukrainian refugee, what happened to her, that was like, a lot of people might deny like it's not based on racism or hate crime. It is. It's clear as day. Even if you
And that's why it's a crime.
Yeah, but
It's against the law.
But he's not the only one thinking
But
like
people
that.
break
That's
the law.
White people are racist against
Everybody breaks the law, dear.
And black people are also racist
Let me
against
take
whites.
that. Let me take that back. People of all religions and skin colors break the law. It's not just confined to one race or one skin color. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the crimes are there for us to see. Like there's some who are like
people being prejudiced and racist has been going on since the country started, and it will continue to go on forever. There's nothing you can do about that.
Segregated, and there's no culture that brings people together.
Okay, fine.
The culture, like our culture, is based off class. So you'll find, like, if you go to different neighborhoods, there's different like groups of people. So people are still segregated within this so-called unified, diverse nation.
Okay,
That's
let's get back to.
Ironically, that's what education is.
Go on mute, please. Go on mute, please. I'm going to give you 60 more seconds on political violence, and go if you want it.
Yeah, so I think that's part of the problem, is that people are not sensing this sense of oneness, this sense of nation.
And what is your solution to solve the problem?
We got to think through this together. Basically, how to create.
And how do you propose to get everybody to think through this together?
One, by getting the adults on board, and then our children, bringing them together and sort of letting them grow up together and loving each other in that way.
I agree with you. When was the last time you did that?
It's not going to be done if not.
The question is, when was the time you did that?
I do that all the time.
Really? All right, cool.
I have a very, very diverse.
I think it's
family.
great.
Like my family, like part white, part black, part Arab, part like from all over the world. Like I'm so thankful for my family, because they intermarry. Like.
Thank you for your contribution. Go ahead and go on mute. I'm going to say something very short, and then I'm going to give it up to the mods. Go ahead and go on mute, please. Thank you. Some of you may be asking, well, how do I do that? I've been doing that basically every Saturday and every Sunday for the past 4 years on Clubhouse. Here's my shameless plug. Ask Uncle Steve on Saturday. Ask the Atheist on Sunday. The show's been basically running the same for 4.5 years. Everybody and anybody is welcome to come up and talk about anything they want, as long as it's respectful. That's how I do my best to bring people together. And unfortunately, if there's any way I could pass joints through the Clubhouse telephone and give them to everybody on show, I would. If all the mods would unmute, that would be amazing. I'm going to take off. Mods, I'm just going to ask one thing. Just try and keep the show respectful, one person at a time. Other than that, do whatever you guys want and make sure the last mod or the last mods agreed to shut it down. Fair enough, guys?
Aye, Captain.
Sounds great, Uncle Steve.
The show is yours. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Don't forget to turn the lights off, mods.
I think Dawn was next in queue, if I have the correct line.
Thanks. I don't have anything too profound. I don't know the correct answer. I can only suggest that we bring back mental institutions and we remove the way out extremists from our parties and take their voting rights away. That's the best I can do, guys. Thanks.
Exactly, Patty.
Well, I do have a question for you. Who gets to decide who is too far on the extremes? If we were to take their voting rights away, who would get to make the decision that your view is so radical that you can't vote anymore?
Our political leaders need to step up or get out. That's it.
That's the problem, is that we actually have political leaders that have literally retweeted Russian disinformation. We do not have the most informed Congress.
We must fight Russia at all costs possible. Death to Russia!
Because they're not taking
Fight
the
Russia with
role
all
that
our
they
might and
signed
all
up
our
for.
resources
We
and
end
all
up
our
with,
taxes
a SCOTUS
forever.
that is overstepping, because what they are doing right now is not defined in the Constitution or any document. They are literally overstepping, and that's the problem we're facing right now, which is a constitutional crisis. We have an autocrat wannabe, I'll say, who is leading with a ton of EOs, executive orders, and these are not constitutionally, blowing Venezuelan ships in international waters in any other administration would have been a big deal. Everyone would have raised this. Instead, it's like page 3 of the news, where it's Charlie Kirk's killing and Jimmy Kimmel are now at the headline. What the hell is happening right now? It's a little insane.
Nothing. You're just rambling, bitch. As usual. Nothing's happening. You're just talking about nothing, wasting all your fucking time. That's life, bitch. That must be what Disney's life is like.
You care to contribute?
Sure. I did a little deep dive using Gemini. Of course, we know that's AI. However, I did a deep dive on it. I had to do a research on it, so it gives you a bit more information. I created a document in Google Docs. I just copied and pasted the results in. I think it's interesting. I think it's fairly balanced. I haven't read through the whole thing, but it does provide websites that it's gone through in order to arrive at the information. And basically, I was just asking it, what are the statistics regarding political violence in the United States? And it came up over the last few decades. And it started from 1975 up until present. And the numbers are really low, obviously. And it depends what the criterion is, because it depends what source you're using to determine what constitutes political violence, whether it's deaths only or other actions. But if we just look at deaths, it's about 0.035% since 1975, excluding 2000 9/11 attack. That skews it considerably because of the amount of people that were killed during that. But since 2020, it's only about 0.011%, if that. So it's quite low. However, it's disproportionate in the effects it has on society. And we see that right now. We can see how disproportionately we're affected by these sorts of incidents, whether it be Charlie Kirk or any others that have happened in the recent past or long ago. So if you're interested, I think it's a good read. Probably take you about 20 minutes to go through it. It's about 45 pages long. So I just thought I would offer that up. And just some quick numbers. Extreme right, 391 deaths. The left, I think it said 65. So you can take that for what you want.
That seems to jive with what Scott put up from he got from X. So yeah, cool. Thank you.
He pulled from Cato.
Thank you.
Libertarian think tank.
I don't know who to really ask. I guess Scott, Matt, JCC, and Marshall. Violet, Do you want me to say anything about what I found out on my AI assistant about churches and money? Or is that
Sure? Sure. I mean, not like Uncle Steve asked you for that. I'm definitely down to hear the answer.
Well, I appreciate that. Bottom line, just because it's like a 4-pager or something. The bottom line is churches can receive public money, which is tax money in the U.S., federal, state, and local, on the same basis as any other charity. But tracking exactly how much of a specific local church gets can be hard because many churches are exempt from publicly filing financial returns. Below, I'll explain why it happens, where the money comes from, common programs, and give a very simple ABC 1, 2, 3 checklist that we can find this money trail, or that I asked for. And then why churches get the money. The federal government does not reserve special funds just for the churches. Faith-based groups are simply eligible to apply for the same grants and contracts as other nonprofits if they meet the program rules. Federal, state, local programs often give money to any nonprofit service provider that will deliver non-religious services like food, shelter, rehab, job training that includes faith-based charities, as long as the government funds aren't used for worship and proselytizing, and that they are self-governing. So there's nobody checking in on this. And if anybody knows what it's like to be in a church, mostly people are trying to get you on board. But anyhow, and also many funding streams are distributed through local boards, municipal grants, and intermediary agencies like United Way, county administrative boards. And it goes on, and it is 5 pages. And basically the loophole is, as long as nobody's proselytizing, they get all this money. And the churches who know where to write the grants, and if you're super smart and know where to go to look, you can get a lot of money for your church. Even to put in something like a circle, you can get a lot of government money, have parties for 2 years, go out to eat everywhere, to plan this big thing called walking in a circle in the churchyard, where nobody ever even uses that circle. So I think it's called something else, and I'm kind of being rude about it. I think it's called a labyrinth, and it is awesome, but nobody ever uses it. And I watched people take that money and then give the leftovers to the poor. And I will tell you, I left my Bible, and I feel like I never go back to these places. So that's what's going on. And thanks for letting me share that. I really appreciate it, guys, for letting me practice too, how to read and speak in public. Thank you.
Anytime. Glad to have you here.
Can I just ask why the bell was banned from the churches?
Say that again?
Why was the bell banned? You know how like the bell call to prayer? They have the bell?
Oh,
well, I don't know.
It depends on what city you're in, and like local noise ordinances.
Indeed.
So some cities have noise ordinances that don't allow you to do that, and the reason they're acceptable is because they're not about church bells specifically. They're about all noises above a certain decibel limit. So sometimes towns can do that. I'll tell you, in my town, the church down the street from me, its bells toll at least 4 times a day. So maybe in bigger cities, there are more restrictive decibel limits.
Makes sense.
So
I also
in my neighborhood, the bell chimes, but I think it's for the time, not necessarily call to prayer, because it's not a church that I think they publicly call to prayer, as far as I understand.
I mean, it's not like a call. It's not a call to prayer like the Muezzin, which is 5 times. So I believe it's Muezzin is 5 times a day where there's a mosque. We have 2 mosques in my hometown, and the Muezzin, if you're near it, you hear a person call the Muezzin, not a speaker. And I think that's because you're not allowed to have like amplification on that kind of thing. I know for the church I hear, you can only hear it if you're within several blocks of the church. right? It's not something they broadcast on loudspeakers.
Gotcha.
I mean, I really appreciate like the churches, the mosques, the synagogues. They really do bring the best of people out compared to people who like are in not the best situations. They don't really, I feel like that's like a refuge for people going through stuff, you know? So I feel like we should be protecting the churches, the mosques, the synagogues for that very reason, because we could have a lot more crazy people walking around.
I also think that that's true too, but I also believe that the government shouldn't be giving we shouldn't be giving money to the churches as taxpayers. They need to earn it from the people who go in there and then help the people out of their own goodness of their heart, like they were called to do by Christ. And so I'm not, I've been around a lot of churches and a lot of stuff, and I'm not against churches or people gathering or people of faith. But I am against people taking money and say, yes, we're going to do one thing and then doing something else with that money. I am very much not down for that. So thanks.
Okay, this is Uncle Steve is a liar, a fraud, a low IQ scumbag. That's exactly what Uncle Steve
Actually,
is.
that ties back to my other idea. The churches, the mosques, I think are also segregated. So depending on what church you go to and what area you're in the church that you go to, it's also segregated. So maybe we can start there, right? Like, those are the places where the communities actually go and worship. And if we could have something else that's non-religious for everyone to come together in that kind of environment where it's just love and peace and serenity, like that would be something,
Uncle Steve.
I think, to move this country in a better.
Okay, don't forget, everybody. Uncle Steve is a liar,
So it's
a
actually
fraud, a
wants
low
to be, like, this
IQ
diverse nation that's inclusive.
scumbag. That's what Uncle
There's no
Steve is,
segregation in the
everybody.
church, but
Steve
it is.
Appel,
There
that's
is-
right.
There is
The
segregation.
world famous clown house atheist with his
Have
little
any of you guys visited a church where
his mod squad of
there's people
incel
from all different
faggots
backgrounds,
like
all
Matt,
different economic classes?
JCC, and yes, Scott
That's very,
Kent
very, very unlikely.
Jones.
Same thing with mosques.
There's
Like,
always
when I was
been more
in,
of a
school,
Republican,
we visited
conservative,
different churches and mosques.
extremist,
We never get
terrorist
to visit
attack. It's
synagogues,
4
but we
to
saw that
1. I got the
worshippers
data
were always
here. It's not the
either
liberals.
one
It's the Republicans.
Yes, that's faggot Scott Kent Jones.
Go ahead, Scott.
But
Put
they
the
were
link in
always
the
one
chat
race.
with their
So
receipts.
they're very much segregated.
Well, I
I
don't
don't know how you
know.
guys are not seeing segregation
The
in the West.
Republicans really know how to fight.
Which is why I think, like,
But the Democrats,
the
they're a
left
bunch
and
of
right,
tricky
they
liars.
black and white and
That's my Donald Trump impersonation. I live in the basement of the YMCA. I'm a former alcoholic. Got a master's degree in divinity.
And I
I'm
totally
a
agree
faggot.
with the segregation. And if I want a different
Well, I did
experience, I
interview
have to
Kitover
go
once.
someplace else, sometimes to
Hey,
a totally different
look.
neighborhood to get a different outlook from who's open on a Sunday. So, and it is, sometimes it's not always comfortable to walk into a place and be the different person, but
exactly.
I think it's very hard. And I think it's something that everybody should experience. And I know some places are different. There are some places that are different and they have interfaith. But I do see your point about segregation all the way across everything. It's still here. And a lot of economical segregation. And then that, is not good either. So, but yeah.
Even our school system, like with the zoning laws, for example, if you go to one specific school within a specific neighborhood, you'll see 95% of the students are either white or black. Why? Those are the kids of the future. Our schools should be more diverse. we as adults should be teaching the children how to love and see each other as one nation, right, under God. Well, that was the anthem. They're not allowed to even say that anymore in schools, which I think is not good.
Well, that's because we have separation of church and state, right? So you can have your, under God. They still say it in some schools, under God, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Nowhere in the Constitution does it say separation of church and state.
I didn't say it was in the Constitution. So, yeah.
We should have something like that in the schools again. And instead of a very diverse community where people can still associate with their racial group, but at the same time, they're interacting with other groups.
Well, and that's the other thing is that I'm hoping, and I do believe, or maybe I just want to believe, but maybe I have magical thinking, but I do see more families. It seems to me I see more people strolling like outdoors, and I do think that in the school systems, as stressed out as they are, I've seen that people are making space for kids to learn, and there is a lot of diversity going on to the point where some people think it's too much diversity, like swung the other way. But I just want to hope and believe that kids in public education are being taken care of, and I think that maybe some of that is going on and I just don't know about it because I haven't visited a school lately and I don't have grandkids, so I don't spend lots of time with younger people to understand what's happening in the school right now. If anybody else has spent time in the school with kids, I would love to hear what's happening with how things are going there, and are political things entering the classroom at a young age. I hope not, but I don't know. Anybody have nieces and nephews?
So I send mine to a private school, a Christian private school. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It has a big red sign. You drive in. It says, "Our teachers are armed and will take necessary measures to protect our children."
I feel like that's so scary with the school shootings.
Yeah, this is the last place I would think a school shooter is going to go, is to a place where there's a big red sign that says our teachers are armed and will take necessary measures. But anyways, the public schools are terrible. I'm in a great school district here in Houston, outside of Houston, Cy-Fair. Great school district, huge school district, size of Atlanta, the population of Atlanta. But I grew up, I went to the school district. Fantastic back then. Nowadays, I sent my 19-year-old to public school, and it was reason. It's just, I would be homeless before I sent my kids to public school, and that's the God honest truth. To live in a homeless shelter, my kid would be better off.
I'm happy my daughter's a junior in public school. She's been in public school since kindergarten, and prior to that, she was at a Montessori school that was very, very diverse, and it was a great start. Would I have preferred her to stay at the Montessori school? Yeah. However, the public school that she went to was considered